In a brand new interview with Rolling Stone, Gene Simmons has once again confirmed the fact that he has no problem with Kiss continuing on without him or Paul for brand new members, just so that he can continue to cash in on live performances, since supposedly he's going to be retiring after this quote-unquote final show, December 2nd at Madison Square Garden, which is also available as a pay-per-view for $40. Elsewhere in the interview, he discusses a number of other topics, including why we most likely won't see Peter and Ace at that final show in December, his thoughts on Kiss selling their catalog and how it should work if Kiss does ever in fact do that, says quote-unquote hand on the Bible that this will be the final show, at least in a touring respect, and more. Let's discuss. Kiss is on the home stretch now of the lengthy end of the road tour, where things will culminate with a quote-unquote final performance, allegedly, we'll see, at Madison Square Garden in New York on December 2nd. Since the end of the road tour was announced, it has been widely challenged that this won't actually be the end for Kiss. Obviously, not the first reunion tour they've done. And there's also been plenty of speculation as to whether or not Ace Frehley and Peter Criss, or just one of them, will make a special appearance at the end to celebrate the finale of Kiss. However, in a brand new interview with Rolling Stone, Gene Simmons has confirmed a number of things about this final show, which again, as a reminder, is available as a pay-per-view for $40, even though you can just watch it on YouTube the next day, guaranteed. Beginning with the fact that this will indeed be the final Kiss touring show, but he does keep the door open for future potential one-offs, festivals, things like that, saying, quote, "It's not about us. It strangely enough never has been about us. It took me years to understand that, because when you're putting on these big pyro-filled shows, and this is the best show we've ever done, you'll see, it's jaw-droppingly good and cost a lot of money. We're adding $1 million just to the last show, just to give the fans an extra oomph and self-aggrandizement. And it appeals to the ego. But when you really think about it, it really is all for the fans, isn't it? How many boxers have stayed in the ring too long? How many bands have stayed on stage too long? Some of them are still around. You want to go out while you're on top. And remember, we introduce ourselves with, you wanted the best, you got the best, the hottest mofo band on the planet, Kiss. At some point, those words are not going to mean very much when I'm in my rocket-propelled wheelchair with a hot nurse pushing me around. When asked if he was willing to make a quote-unquote Sherman-esque statement that this is in fact the end, referring to the famous William Tecumseh Sherman quote, where he vows that he will never be a presidential candidate, and if nominated or elected, he would decline, by responding, quote, "Yes, this is it, hand to Bible. It has nothing to do with ticket sales or anything. It has to do with Mother Nature. And at a certain point, you have to understand that it's going to be a point of diminishing returns because of the kind of band we are. I wear 7-inch platform dragon boots. Each weighs as much as a light bowling ball, armor, studs, leather, all that stuff, and that weighs about 40 pounds in total. And I got to spit fire and fly through the air and all that, and you got to do it for 2 hours." He was then asked if there was ever going to be a possibility of a Kiss festival appearance or one-off, to which he responded, "Yes. Having said that, Paul has his Soul Station band. I'm sure he'd love to play some shows. I've got the Gene Simmons band. At some point, I may want to jump up on stage and do some tunes. But the physicality of being in Kiss says that this is the right thing at the right place at the right time. Because B.B. King played until his late 80s. He was sitting on stage. We can't do that. We won't sit down." Hilariously, though, Rolling Stone actually hyperlinked the part of this interview where Gene says, "We won't sit down." They linked it to another Rolling Stone article from last year where they were spotlighting a 2022 Kiss show in Brazil, where I guess Gene got sick. He fell ill in the middle of the performance, resulting in the show having to stop for a few minutes before they did end up finishing the show. But the kicker being that Gene had to finish the show sitting down. So very, very good self-awareness in this most recent interview. Bravo. Real quick, I want to jump in here and give a shout out to Mammoth Headwear for sponsoring this video, because maybe You're just like me or Gene Simmons. You have a massive head. You can't hardly ever find a hat to fit you properly. Look no further than mammothheadwear.com. I'm actually wearing a mammoth hat right now. It fits me like a dream. You can go to their website, mammothheadwear.com. Use code Logan at checkout for 10% off your order. Not just hats either. They got all sorts of stuff, shirts, hoodies, beanies, hats, all kinds of stuff. Mammoth Headwear is the undisputed place to go if you have a massive head like I do, or Gene Simmons. Look, I don't know about you, but I can just about guarantee you that this will not be the end of Kiss. I am certainly not the first person to say that, certainly not the last. A million other people have said it. Almost every Kiss fan says it. As we all know, this is, like I said earlier, not their first quote-unquote farewell tour. These guys, especially Gene, love money way too much to leave anything on the table. I don't doubt that they will certainly slow things down a little bit. Obviously, Paul and Gene are up there in age. I think Paul's 71, like Gene's 74 or something like that. So slowing down definitely makes sense. It's believable. But undoubtedly, 2023 will not be the end of Kiss, in my opinion. Kiss with Gene and Paul involved. Not to mention, live shows, no live shows, they will continue to milk the fans with every single type of tchotchke imaginable, and lest we forget, $40 live streams. In the age of YouTube, $40 live streams. As for the possibility of any special guests outside of Ace and Peter, Gene had this to say. As you can imagine, we've had all kinds of calls by everybody of note. You'd recognize all their names who want to jump up on stage. And so far, we've said no. When asked why they have turned everyone down, he continues, because when you have other artists jump up on stage, you're showing off. You're saying, look, Garth Brooks grew up with our music. In fact, he recorded Hard Luck Woman with us for the Kiss tribute album. And look, there's Lenny Kravitz. And look, there's the Nirvana guys and Dave Grohl and the Metallica guys. On and on and on. As for Ace and Peter returning for the final show, Gene adds that he has personally asked both of them multiple times. Of course, they declined, and he further explains, I doubt it, they don't want to. We can only lead the horse to water, and the door is open, but you can't wear the makeup. You gave up that right when you were let go of the band 3 different times. Who gets more than one chance? And it's sad. I don't know how else to put it, but there's no question that Kiss would not have happened without Ace and Peter at the beginning. But I'm fairly convinced that Kiss wouldn't have lasted with Ace and Peter. Not everybody has the DNA to run marathons. It's hard being in a band. Marriages break up. Lennon and McCartney turned on each other. Jagger Richards turned on each other. It's hard. He was then asked if the door was going to stay open up until the very last minute, should Ace and Peter have a change of heart, to which Gene concluded, they will always be a part of the Kiss family. But how often do you see Aunt Magda, who's part of the family? When was the last time you went to your aunt's house for Thanksgiving dinner, even though she's part of the family? Well, Gene, I'm actually going to Aunt Magda's house next week for Thanksgiving. Thank you very much. I will be the first to say that I am a Kiss fan. I like the band a lot, but by no means am I a diehard or a part of the Kiss Army or something like that. But I just feel like personally, Gene and Paul are the ones holding back Ace and Peter from appearing at the final show, quote unquote final show, I should say. But it needs to happen. I'm not sure about Peter, but I believe Ace has said multiple times that he would make an appearance on stage with Paul and Gene for the right amount of money. But of course, that only further proves that nobody involved really gives 2 fucks about the fans. I mean, it's all about money, but supposedly Kiss has sunk an extra $1 million into the production for this quote unquote final show. Throw some money Ace and Peter's way. You have it. It's there. That nobody needs the money. Look, I love theatrics and a massive production, probably more than the average fan of any band cares about. But in this case, the original 4 members reuniting one last time with Ace and Peter in their makeup, that just goes so much further than extra pyro and fireworks. Plus, think of all the money that they will make from this $40 live stream. I mean, they're going to rake it in. No question. They have the money that they can share. They can share a piece of that pie. Couple other things I want to quickly touch on from this Rolling Stone interview. It's, of course, been widely documented for some time now that Kiss has every intention of continuing on with the band or brand long after Gene and Paul are gone, with Gene reconfirming that with Rolling Stone, saying that he's totally open to that idea. And I know I'm not alone when I say that this is just the dumbest fucking shit on the face of the earth. Yes, no question, they've done a remarkable job of turning the Kiss name, the band, into a brand. But look how upset and bent out of shape people are that it's only Gene and Paul. There's no Ace, no Peter. Imagine when there's nobody. Who the fuck will care? Nobody will. If that actually happens, I think it's just going to turn into some fucking Vegas attraction or theater show that serves only as a reminder of what once was, kind of like the actual Kiss is now.
He'll sing the tracks.
Slipknot is another band quickly heading down this path. It's just the amount of greed and fan manipulation from some of these bands. It's unbelievable. It's astonishing. It really is. And no matter how many times you hear it, you think you get used to it. And to a degree, I think we all are. But it's still just astonishing how fucking greedy these things are. But again, the music industry, nothing but a corporation. Bands, just like I said in another video recently, bands, music industry, just big business. Finally, Gene was asked by Rolling Stone if he would ever be open to not only selling the Kiss catalog, but the Kiss trademark and likeness as well. And of course, Gene being Gene, he initially responds with, "How much do you have in mind?" And then goes on to explain that should that ever happen, he and Paul would still retain control and call the shots, noting that if you let your kid drive your car, more than likely your car will get in an accident. I don't think he understands what selling means, but once again, not surprised in the slightest. While selling the catalog definitely seems plausible, especially considering just how many artists are doing it these days. I mean, it's almost like every day you open up the news and boom, somebody else sold their catalog for insane amounts of money. But for them to sell their trademark and likeness, I just don't see it happening. I mean, they've taken things so far with Kiss, made it such an iconic thing that there's just no way, I guess, unless the money was just astronomically absurd. I guess everyone has a price. All right, though, I gotta run. My fiance is waiting for me, and yes, even though it is that time in November, I still gotta lick it up, so I gotta go. But thanks so much for watching. Feel free to subscribe if you want to see more. Thanks to Mammoth Headwear for sponsoring this video, where you can go to mammothheadwear.com, use code Logan at checkout for 10% off your order, and I will see you next time.